I'm not. You're not gonna get me. You're not gonna get me mid sentence. Anyway, so this is probably the last video we're recording today because I'm exhausted. But so we're gonna talk about Strong Style Evolved. Yeah. So that was the show that happened at the Walter Pyramid in Long Beach, California. That was on March 25th, 2018. That is, of course, the New Japan show. Their second time in the United States. Their last one, of course, being...
And what a great crowd.
Yeah.
For some of the moments, I was like, are they in Japan or are they in the U.S.?
Yeah, no, it was very... It was a very good,
the crowd,
dedicated crowd. And I mean, they sold out the Walter Pyramid.
Yeah.
So, telling it of itself.
In a lot of ways, I think this was a better pay-per-view than Sakura Genesis. I thought some of the matches...
I think storytelling here, I felt... I liked a little bit more.
Yeah, let's just get into it.
Yeah, all right. So the first match we're going to talk about was the first match of the night. That was just a regular six-man tag team match that was SoCal Uncensored. That is, of course, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, Scorpio Sky versus Roppongi 3K, 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 Roppongi 3K, 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 who is Rocky Romero, Show, and Yo. I have to finish. Roppongi 3000 is on the way. Rocky Show and Yo save the day. I love Roppongi 3K.
I thought it was a good match. Frankie got busted open.
Yeah.
I think his nose or his mouth. I think it was his nose got busted.
It was rough.
Yeah, and I mean he struggled through it, and it got a little like I don't want to say botchy at that point, but there was a few spots that was a little bit a second behind, I think.
Well, I think also
because he was just, I don't know, maybe it broke his nose. I'm not sure.
I think also the nice thing I liked about this is, so I'm a big Rocky Romero fan. Mm-hmm. When it was Roppongi Vice, it was, Rocky Romero and friend, and of course here Show and Yo do a little bit more.
Yeah.
They're a little bit more successful at holding their own as far as personality and charisma against Rocky Romero.
The last tag?
Okay. No, but no, I thought that this is a really nice opportunity for Rocky Romero to get a little bit more of the proof as to why he is so successful. So, I mean, he did get a lot of really good offense in on this match. And that's not something we see a lot from him at this point in his career, since he's mostly a managerial role.
Right.
So
we don't see a lot from him now
they actually did win the match, which was a pretty good match. It was a little over 10 minutes long. But a nice curtain warmer, if you will. Yeah. So the next match was a kind of weird match because it kind of blurred the lines, especially as far as Juice Robinson goes. So Juice has been pretty solidly Heart and Honor face Juice Robinson.
Yeah.
And he tagged with David Finlay, and they kind of healed it.
They've been tagging for a while.
And they've kind of healed it up a little bit more, spitting stuff, drinking beer in the crowd. And they, of course, went up against two members of Chaos, Goto and Gedo. So it was interesting, and we're going to talk a little bit more about David Finlay later on in the show. But it was interesting to sort of watch how that's going to unfold. Yeah. Considering the fact that, like I said, in Japan, Juice has been played very much like a upstart face. So
I think this is a new face for them.
So it's interesting to see him take on this a little bit more like, snotty punk girl.
Thing continued on Sakura Genesis. So I think it's definitely something that's going to continue. That we'll see. That there'll be sort of this heelish teamer group now instead.
Well, it's fine with me. Yeah. I really like David Finlay a lot.
Especially since I think for all purposes, Bullet Club is essentially a face group. So that doesn't leave very much heel work in Japan.
Yeah.
Besides Suzuki.
But also, interestingly enough, Juice Robinson and David Finlay are, for the most part, officially considered to be members of Taguchi Japan. And of course, we all know how Taguchi's role in Japan has sort of I guess you could say fluctuated, but one constant has always remained is that Taguchi is hilarious. So interesting to see this
we're
sort
going to
of
go with that
aspect arising in certain members of his stable.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the next match we're going to talk about is Killer Elite Squad, KES. Of course, that's Lance Archer and Davey Boy Smith Jr. versus Chaos, which was represented by Toru Yano and Chucky T. In case you forgot, Chuck Taylor was part of Chaos. I did. I totally forgot about that.
Two big dudes. I mean,
honestly, I have to say, happy for Chuck Taylor. I, for a long time couldn't really get behind Chuck Taylor, but after him being in the business for like 15 years now at this point, he's finally making it to a much larger stage to really show that he does have the experience and he does have the charisma and he cares enough about this business to have made it this far. So, happy for him on that level. Brutal that he took the pin.
Big guys.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Lance Archer and Davey Boy Smith Jr. as a team.
As we talked in another episode earlier about leaving and going away, Archer really came into his own in Japan.
And honestly, so did Davey Boy.
Davey Boy's been all over since he left. And yeah, he's grown up. I think in WWE he was really young,
itty bitty,
like 18
yeah. Well, not itty bitty, but he was a baby.
Yeah, he was a baby. And I'm surprised that they have not called out for this team to come to WWE, honestly.
They scooped up War Machine.
Yeah. So, who knows?
But
I imagine they're making bank.
I think, and I have to say it because me and my family watched this, and this match made my auntie a believer in, can you guess who?
Archer.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
And who?
Toru Yano. Yes, my auntie decided she loves Toru Yano after
Interesting. Another guy who, his
even
career has really
with
come
him
a long way.
punching people in the balls and everything, which she usually hates. My auntie
Like we
ate
said.
it up with Yano.
Toru Yano is the Eddie Guerrero of New Japan.
not as he's not as winning.
He's not on the top of the card, but for all purposes, that
he is beloved. And my God, does he have a lot of merchandise for someone who never quite makes it all the way up there? You know what I mean?
He's never made it to the top of the card.
He's
really.
the Colt Cabana to me of New Japan.
That's another good, yeah.
And there was a match actually they had at
he's
War
not
of
the
the
Scotty
Worlds.
Goldman of Japan.
Oh.
Big difference there.
Anyway, so the next match we're going to talk about that happened on the card is the Bullet Club. So that was Cody and Marty Scurll versus GOD, Girls of Destiny, which is Tama Tonga and Tangalo.
I just want to say, what excellent heel work
by
from
Cody.
Because he's taking just a lot of classical heel work.
This match isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
We're not going to fight each other.
Right?
Right?
No? What?
Tama Tonga, amazing. I love him.
But also in the match, just taking a heel tactic like, okay, the good guy's down, I'm gonna do push-ups, and taking that one step further.
The other thing that I liked was the ambush start. So when he's like, this match isn't gonna happen, blah blah blah, and Tangaroa basically like Tama Tonga just silent, completely silent. Tangaroa is like, well,
we're not
on Team Kenny, we're not on Team Cody, we're on Team Bullet Club.
Yeah. But no, Cody's doing the push-ups, which is a great taunt. You think back to Scott Steiner.
Super scummy, yeah.
And then Tonga reaches over, pulls his hands out, and Cody face plants. And
I loved that. Oh my God.
What a great heel tactic, taking it that one step further. And, not just healing it up, but then making it like the joke.
Yeah.
And still being in character, and then getting up and putting the boots to Tonga. And, he's just doing the best heel work in the business right now, by far.
And look at all the time WWE squandered on Stardust.
There were some great spots in the match.
There were a lot of really great moments.
We went to get the crossroads, and instead we got the Tonga twist instead.
Yeah.
Good match.
We are solidly Tamatonga marks.
We are.
So,
but I'm also a Cody mark.
We're also to a lesser extent Cody marks, but Tamatonga was our guy. So it was really cool to.
I hated seeing Guerrillas of Destiny lose this match, but at the same time, I was pleasantly surprised to see Cody win. So
I did another moment in that match was when God had thrown him out. And then Marty was just like, yeah, go, stand out. And we're like, Marty's girls turned against him. And then Marty got beaten up and thrown out. And then Marty just goes and, like, baby koalas him.
It was great work. I don't know if I would say the match itself was the best on the show. But for where it was on the show, they totally got a lot out of it.
Well, not only that, but I mean, I think that...
So much character work come out of
exactly. I think what made the match... better was all the character work that was put into it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and yeah, your spot of Tonga,
the push-up part was great.
Sweeping his arm out from under him, I loved so much. I mean, just watching Cody Rhodes just
face plant
hard,
and then get up and put the boots. It was great. It was great work all around.
It was really good. Alright, so the next match, probably a man short because of the fact that Evil of Los Ingobernables de Japón was still nursing an orbital fracture that he got, I think, in Australia.
Yeah.
So it was 4 members of LIJ, pretty much all the other members of LIJ, so that is, of course, Naito, Sanada, Bushi, and... my guy, the Time Bomb, Takahashi, versus Taguchi Japan's Dragon Lee, Dragon Lee is not in Taguchi Japan, but Dragon Lee and other members of Taguchi Japan, specifically being Tanahashi, Kushida, and Taguchi. And of course, LIJ got the win here, got to hit their pose at the end, which I love.
Oh, it was great, yeah.
It's been a while since we've gotten to see it. Unfortunately, without Evil, it's not complete, but...
It was a fun match.
It was a very fun match. And, of course, it did explore the sort of rivalries that are inherent between all these people. So, of course, Takahashi and Dragon Lee had a really long rivalry in CMLL back when he was over there as Kama Itachi on Excursion. So, it was nice. It was nice nods to the different feuds that there have been. There's also good moments of Takahashi and Kushida, Naito and Tanahashi, Naito and Taguchi. It was filled with a lot of really good moments, and they all did really well in keeping them tied to character and experiences that each of these men have had with each other in the ring in the past.
Yeah.
I'm a really big fan of LIJ and the ability of each of their members to tell a story. Yeah. There's not really much to say about it. It was a solid match with solid workers all around. So the next match was probably one of the bigger touted matches, although still kind of a disappointment because it was supposed to be, of course, Rey Mysterio versus Liger, but Rey Mysterio suffered a bicep tear.
I believe so.
That meant that he was unable to be cleared to wrestle. So who stepped in at the last moment? Well, Ospreay versus Liger, Jushin Thunder Liger.
I'm not the bigged Ospreay fan.
But I hear fandom coming. Yeah, no, it was a good match. I have the same thing, and you know what I realized?
I was pulling for Liger.
I was too,
honestly.
So was I.
I know he's old, but I was like, wow, wouldn't it be great?
Liger's 53. Did you know?
Wouldn't it be great if Liger won it? What a story would be, and then take that belt, and then we have the Mysterio Liger match, and it would I think it would have been a great spotlight.
One thing, especially after the finish of this match, that I really liked was the fact that it set up a lot of different directions for possible matches in the future. Set up, possibly Liger versus Mysterio once he heals up. Set up Ospreay versus Mysterio. Set up Marty versus Liger, Marty versus Ospreay, Marty versus Mysterio. Like, Marty really clinched it at the end, grabbing Mysterio's mask after Mysterio goes in, and like one of the young boys, straight up, super fast, hammered a shirt, covers Mysterio's face. We all know what Mysterio looks like already. Sorry, there's no the veil has already been lifted for me. Yeah. But just that level of respect, I thought was, and for Skrull, the level of disrespect I thought was handled so well.
For a guy that can really just do it all, Marty. From one moment doing comedy bits like with Cody to the next moment just being flat out the villain.
Hugely talented.
Extremely talented, yeah.
A lot of talent packed into just a tiny man.
Just tiny. 5 foot.
He liked one of my tweets once, and I was so happy. Yeah. Because it was for the Bullet Club umbrella. Yeah. And I was just like, it's been raining nonstop in Hilo for the past 2 weeks. I have a need for this. Thank you for delivering, Marty Skrull. And he liked it. I was like, yes.
That's cool.
He will also be on the Cruise of Jericho, so I will get him to sign my...
Oh, that would be... Yeah, that'd be really neat. Have him sign it on the inside.
Yeah.
Don't want it to wash away.
No, it's going to wash away anyway. But yeah, so... That was I have to admit was a really good match, even though perhaps the outcome wasn't what I wanted. An interesting thing I noticed about Ospreay, how he mugs and behaves in matches and sort of plays a lot to the camera, and I hate that he does that. You know who I realized does hints of that in the WWE, and it made me love him?
Who?
Mustafa Ali.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Maybe it's just because I think Mustafa Ali is hotter than Will Ospreay. Even though my auntie is like, oh, Will Ospreay is so handsome. I'm like, oh my god. He is weird looking at best. And he has purple hair. This is not a good color for a man. Yeah. Anyway. So the next match we're going to talk about was a tag match between Suzuki-gun, which was represented by Minoru Suzuki and Zack Sabre Jr., versus Chaos, which was represented by Okada and Ishii. Sort of a teaser match for what was going to happen at Sakura Genesis of Zack Sabre Jr. versus Kazuchika Okada.
I will say this match kind of sold me a little bit more on Zack Sabre Jr. And just because...
I'm sorry, I just puked all over his table.
Just because, leading up to this, I was like, what kind of booking is this shit? Zack Sabre Jr. going over everybody, submitting everybody to win the New Japan Cup.
His match with Kota did not tap. It was a referee stoppage.
Okay. Well,
let me just make that clear.
But
let me just make that clear.
Kota
Ibushi did not tap. I repeat.
The work that Zack Sabre Jr. and Suzuki did together.
Oh, it was great.
Submissions on it. It was amazing.
It was great.
And it occurred to me, like, wow, what better guy to put against Okada, really, for a face versus heel confrontation than Zack Sabre Jr. And
who honestly, without, no pun intended, but has the submission game on lock. Yeah. He does. And he really showed it.
Half of it.
He really showed it a lot throughout the whole match, where he worked a lot more on grinding his opponent down.
Yeah.
Via different submissions and holds.
Gosh, in my mind, like if I was Triple H, I would get this guy for 205 in an instant.
Sabre didn't want to sign because he tried.
I can imagine why, because he's probably booked all over for more money. But yeah, if I was Triple H, to get this guy and let him work his match, not put him to WWE style per se, but let him work this match and act like he does. It's a very old school wrestling type of match. Well, I think about Anderson,
and that's what I think that
just winds the guy down.
He's been doing a little bit more of since he's been taking control of 205 is he's been letting these guys put on their matches, their style of matches, rather than trying to fit them into the WWE style of matches, which is why, especially there and NXT, we see so much different variety, and we get to really become fans of a lot of these guys that maybe people didn't know about before, because we get to see exactly what they're capable of outside of just the realm of WWE. And it's just fortunate for them and fortunate for us that we get to see it on a grander stage, so that we actually get to enjoy it rather than maybe grainy YouTube videos
the end
or
of
just
this
reading
match
about
was
it.
really good, with them just dominating Okada, and then we see Guido get up into the ring and just also get essentially submitted, but everybody saw it coming. They're like, no, don't do that. Okay, well, there that is. And yeah, he just kind of made everybody look like idiots.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, on top of that, you have Suzuki, who always makes everybody look like idiots.
Except for Goto, but even Goto at 12.
Yeah.
Oof, that was a rough match.
So yeah, this was a great build-up for Genesis.
Yeah.
And sadly to say, I think this was maybe a better pay-per-view. So if you haven't seen it, then I would definitely watch.
But I mean, I think of course because they try they're trying so hard, and their show Strong Style Evolved was in tandem with their opening the New Japan dojo in Los Angeles. So it really was their way of trying to show this is the best that we have to present.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
Yeah. And so the next match is one of the ones that we were talking about before, was Jay White, Switchblade Jay White versus Hangman Page.
Another great match.
And that was a really good match. I think that was one of the longest matches on the card. And I honestly, I thought Hangman might have taken it here.
I was hoping he would. I didn't think he would, because Jay White just hasn't had it that long. I know sometimes you'll see that.
Jay White is also I don't know if I want to say homegrown talent, but he did go through the Young Lions program in New Japan.
I think they consider him homegrown talent. Even though he went to ROH, that's kind of excursion.
Yeah.
Level.
Oh no, that was his excursion.
Yeah. So I definitely think they consider him homegrown talent in that regard. So yeah.
And I mean, they treated him very similarly to how they treated the homecoming of.
I think we were going to see a lot of Jay White in the future.
I agree.
This is going to be one of the guys that
I think this match sold me on him more than any other match I've seen him in.
Plus, if you think about the market, New Zealand it's a market for them.
And they don't have a whole lot of talent from New Zealand. They have Jay
They're
White.
getting quite a bit more though.
Well, they are now, but I mean,
we got Fale, we got Jay White.
At that level,
I don't know the other guy's name.
they have Toa Henare. He's Maori.
Yeah. I think Fale trained.
I believe so.
So I mean, they're starting to get talent from New Zealand. So it's interesting, where they'll end up going, but I can see that they're very high on Jay White.
Yes. And honestly, this match is what sold me the most on him out of anything I've seen since he's returned to New Japan. Just his ability to really not only sell, but to really deliver as far as just persona and in ring how to move.
The way they rolled through the finish was great. So yeah, a really good match. Yeah.
And then the final match of the night, the main event, if you will, was of course the Young Bucks, the Kings of California, versus the Golden Lovers. That is, of course, Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi. Now, people thought there's no way that the Bucks are going to come home to California to lose. Well, they were wrong.
Well, I mean, I don't think that always makes a difference wherever the match is held, just depending on where the story goes. And I mean, ultimately, they just wanted to be able to wrestle Kenny.
And I think the storytelling in this match,
the storytelling
from
was
top to bottom,
above
was excellent.
You know, like,
and I
in
think
my
a
opinion,
lot of the
which you disagree with, my opinion, the match itself was a little spotty for my taste, but the storytelling was wonderful.
and see, I feel like the spottiness was a nice contrast. You know what I mean? So you see, especially because this is supposed to be the big reuniting of Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, and they're really establishing their ability to be an excellent tag team even after all these years apart. So I saw the work of Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi in tandem was reflective of where Kenny Omega started back when he was first starting off in New Japan, even in DDT Pro when they had experience with each other then, and just how they worked with each other versus the, I think, spottier style of the Young Bucks, and how Kenny had kind of adopted some of it in his time with the Bullet Club and the Young Bucks. So just seeing that evolution, and fortunately, depending on what your opinion is, it was very Kenny Omega centric, of course, because Kenny Omega is probably one of the hottest names in pro wrestling today. I love him, but so that's how I sort of viewed the match as a whole. So the spots to me were telling of the remnants of his relationship with the Bucks. You know what I mean?
Well, there's some spots that work, and then there's I feel that there's some Young Buck spots that they do in every match.
Yeah.
Or quite often in every match that just doesn't have the psychology behind it that it possibly should. You know, there's psychology spots, and then there's just spots. For being a spot.
Yeah.
And some of the spots, they're just there for a match where Matt is essentially not in the match.
Yeah.
Like, he's in it, but he's so hurt.
Well, they sold the back injury on him
way,
a lot.
Yeah, it was crazy the selling that they did for this match.
But I also
so when he's
think
that hurt, and then they still do a couple of these spots that don't have psychology, those were the ones that I had the biggest problem with.
See, but whenever, and I don't.
It's like, oh, I'm too hurt for this, but I'm not too hurt for this.
But see, that was their choosing of the moments that their spots that they're so used to. I thought they did a really good job at choosing the moments where he failed to deliver, and I think it was all intentional. So that to me is
Well, I think that part's intentional for sure, but some of the spots just didn't have the psychology that I like. Not that I'm Randy Orton level attacking here, because I think Orton's stupid when he's just like, oh, all they do is super kicks. I think you could have a match with 50,000 super kicks and it still be, have the psychology to it.
Yeah, ask HBK.
And I'm not an HBK mark either. But yeah, I thought still, even with that flaw for me, I thought the match told a story probably better than anything that's been put out there this year. I mean, it was a tremendous story.
I would have to agree. I would
actually, for me, Nick Jackson was the MVP of this match.
I also
just because
agree with that.
I mean, you have,
because you saw it. To me, it was Nick and Kenny that were the two MVPs, because you saw how torn both of them were. And honestly, I think everyone played their parts. You know, if I'm gonna judge it from a directing standpoint, I think everyone played their parts.
It was
perfectly.
Crazy because you have Matt, who is essentially the heel of the match, but then you could also say that Ibushi is the heel of the match too, because he's like, no, we're in this match, we're gonna win it.
Yeah,
we're
I think the part that really sold me on Ibushi was when they have him, Kenny, and Kota, and they do the whole thing where they're gonna target him, and Kota does it.
He's like, do it.
Yeah, Kota does it, and then Kenny's just like, and he's like, no, we're doing this. We're doing this. He's like, this is our match. Yeah. This is our match. We have to prove this. And then by the same token, when Kenny goes to Katoyoku no Tenshi, Matt, and just can't bring himself to do it. And Matt's the one that's just like, no, you're doing this. Do this to me. You got to finish this.
But I like the spot where Nick puts Kenny on the table. He's like, "Do it!" on the outside of the ring, and he's like, "Come on, do it. Let's end it. Let's do this." You know, the one that was against this, like, "Hey, you know, I don't think this is right." And I don't think
is the one that's like, we just have to, we have to finish this.
We're in this match now. They're taking out my brother. We're gonna finish this then.
Yeah.
And like he has his brother's back despite everything else. And I thought that was nice touch. As a really great story from, like you said, all the participants involved. Yeah, I mean it was a great match, and I don't think it depended on who you wanted to win.
When I mean, even from the start, I think so. When the start where Kota was starting and Matt was starting, Matt was like, "No, I want Kenny. I want Kenny. I don't want you. I want Kenny." And just showing that sort of level of bad blood, and of course leading back to Kenny accidentally shoving Matt. When that whole thing started, and Kenny still trying to, even initially in the very beginning of the match, trying to extend the olive branch and being like, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. It was in the heat of the moment." And Kenny coming off really sympathetic here, because it's sort of like, I've said sorry so many times. What can I do to make this up to you? Of course, because Kenny Omega has been the face for a long time at this point. And then, like you said, coming full circle where Cody comes
out
in,
the end.
shoves
one
Nick.
Job.
You had one job. You couldn't even do this. And gets kind of in Matt's face, because Matt has the bad back, and Nick comes to try and pull him off and just
sucker punches him.
Yeah, and just knocks Nick.
And Cody just pissed.
Yeah.
Because in his head, Bullet Club is heads. You need to do what you've been told by the leader.
Yeah.
Which is Cody.
Yeah.
In his head, at least.
How could you not win this?
Right.
Yeah.
So, really interesting. And then, of course, with Kenny and everybody coming back out.
And then Kenny
the olive branch is not accepted.
Not by both of them. So Nick shakes his hand. Matt refuses.
Matt rolls out.
But then an interesting thing is when it's explored, when the tables have turned, so to speak. Matt is quick to accept Cody's apology for beating his brother. And then Nick sort of you see the hurt in Nick, is sort of like, so you can forgive him easy,
but not Kenny.
After what Cody did to me. And you see Nick definitely playing a little bit more of the role of being the brother that has his back a little bit more. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It'll be interesting to see where everything ends up going, if we're actually going to get a Nick versus Matt match out of this too.
Which I would be fine with.
It'll definitely be interesting if they're planning on going their singles runs for a while. To liven things up.
Fulfill the suggestions of Cody.
Wouldn't that be interesting? Cody getting what he wants after everything.
Gross. Gross.
Subscribe.
So that was our review of Strong Style Evolved.
Where's the subscribe button?
I don't know.
It's right here.
You can read.
Subscribe. If we get 100 subscribers.
I like how you're plugging this on every video
totally
now.
Plugging on everything now. If we get 100 subscribers before the Cruise of Jericho,
I will do
which she is going
DDP
on.
Yoga.
She's going to do DDP yoga with DDP.
Yeah.
On the deck of the cruise ship.
On the deck of the Cruise of Jericho. I already am going to get my picture taken with Jericho in the list.
Right. So you can expect that. If we get 100 subscribers,
who else?
I'm going to talk her into doing it live on Facebook. If
internet permits
you can't beat that.
Also, you know who else is on the Cruise of Jericho?
Who?
Cheeseburger!
I hope they have cheeseburgers and pizza for you. I don't know what you'll do without Hawaiian food.
You know what I'm talking about.
Unfortunately, I do. And it's only enough cheeseburgers for 2 people, I think. She's pretty tiny. Ain't much meat on that cheeseburger. It's all bone and gristle. Kind of like McDonald's.
Wow. I love cheeseburger. Cheeseburger's man.
I don't like ketchup on mine.
I don't either. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is our review of Strong Style Evolved.
There it is.
Like, share, subscribe, comment below.
Especially subscribe.